We are live. It is Saturday, December 17th. Well, we got a four-man booth here. This is awesome. I'm here, as usual, with Gavin, who is up at like 3 a.m., whatever time it is in California time. What's up, Gavin?
What's going on? Yeah, I think I tweeted that the most exciting thing today is the lawyer brother face-off.
Oh, God, yeah.
God.
That was right about,
Gavin's
I think,
been
3:30 or
letting
so.
these games up since Tuesday. I'm not sure he's worked yet this month, but that's what we love about him. That's why he's here. We also have Kurt from Run Pure. Kurt looks like he's just off a workout, maybe on his way to the gym. What's up, Kurt?
I just now got back from workout. I'm in my sweaty underwear right now. You didn't even give me time to change, so here we are. But
yeah, there's definitely no time to change. A guy who will probably be at a workout after the show. Jeski's here. What's up, Matt? What's going on?
Not too much. I had one Saturday morning off since August, and somehow you corralled me here to do this show. So we're gonna give what we can here. A lot of sports on today. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean this is a huge Saturday. We got the best slate so far this season for college basketball for sure. We got bowls going on. We got NFL. Most people will be focused on NFL. I will clearly not be. Gavin, we'll go to you first. We have a little extra time because there's only 8 games. Thoughts kind of overall in the last couple of weeks of college basketball? There's been a lot of changing of seats at the top. We've seen UNC fall. We've seen Houston fall. Any just general thoughts on what's been happening lately?
Yeah, I think we're still at a point where there's no kind of one unanimous team, which is a good place for college basketball to be in. I mean, Bama's probably now the hottest team in the country and the flavor of the week, over the past 10 days or so, beating Houston in Houston down 15 with a bunch of freshmen. Like, that team kind of showed itself and stepped onto the stage. So, we'll see them in their third major get-up spot in a row here. So I think they're kind of, the main storyline of the last week or so.
Yeah, there's a lot of big games on this slate, but there's a lot of big games throughout the day. And we'll have bets on them. So, Gavin, remind me to, at the end of the show, kind of go over what we've taken for the entire day slate so far.
Right.
But yeah, let's dive right in. We've got 8 games to talk about. A banger to start. We got Indiana at Kansas, Fog, big game. Indiana 16th on KenPom, Kansas 8th at KenPom. He's got it 73-68 KU. Indiana top 150 in tempo. Kansas also top 150. We'll start with you, Kurt. What stands out to you in this game? I think Hood Shafino is going to play here, which is obviously huge for Indiana. What do you think overall, and do you like any plays here?
Yeah, so I like that kid a lot. And I feel like we've not really had the explosion game yet. I think it's this probably isn't the matchup. And I don't really like the price. I feel like they could have priced him down for us a little bit, made him really enticing on this slate. 5'9" hard to pay. Kansas has everyone is the same height as TJD. So I feel like he's just playing against 6'10" dudes. So this is a matchup he could really feast on. They're off at the 5 spot. I didn't love it originally because I just feel like there's so many other spin-ups I like more. But you talked me into sprinkling a little bit of TJD there. And then I had to put Miller Kopp on the playbook because I didn't want to, but these low forwards, like these cheap forwards, there's no one. I mean, there's no one. And the guy he occasionally can make threes. I'm not going to play him, but if you're there and you absolutely need a forward under 5, I guess, in GPPs, Kevin McCullough, his projection both surprised us. I love the guy. I've been playing him since he was 3K at Tech, and he was going nuke for me. But I don't know. It just sketches me out a little bit because I know he cannot score the ball the best. Jalen Wilson, always a triple-double threat. I'll let the rest of the guys cover anything else, but that's all I got from this one.
Yeah, so I have to go to Gavin last because I know he'll be pissed about that. So I'll go to Matt next. Matt, big game here. IU got killed in that Arizona game. Kansas went to Mizzou last Saturday and just decimated them. Anything stand out here for you?
This was a game I didn't get a lot of from a projection standpoint, which kind of surprised me. Looking at it, I was expecting to get a little more Jalen Wilson, but when you look at the slate, I think this is kind of a product of not having a lot of value. So actually paying $10K for a player is a little difficult here. Same thing with some of the other really expensive players on this slate. We'll talk about another one on the other side. So I think while the studs are going to be contrarian, you can kind of lean into that a little bit if you're comfortable with any of the value on the slate. But honestly, ran 150 from my own projections, aggregated somewhere around the industry, and I got 0% of this game if you're running an optimizer, which was very surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good game, but like you said, value's going to be tough to come by on the slate. Gavin, you've been chomping on the bit to talk about this game. Why don't you let it rip here?
Yeah, I think TJD is a great GPP play. Just KU currently 302nd in post-up defense point per possession. That being said, Jalen Wilson, we just saw Tubelis absolutely butcher Race Thompson last game, and Jalen Wilson is even better than him. So, yeah, I think I'm going to try to find a way to him. I'll play some hairy shit, so I might be able to get there. But I think it's going to be pretty prohibitive for people, especially when you got couple studs like a Baycott in the mid 8s.
Yeah, I mean, like Matt said, there's not much value. I think this is an interesting game. I think IU plays well here, Gavin. Do you have a bet on this? Did you end up firing on the plus 6.5 or so?
No, I bet the over 142 small. The thing that worries me is that if this game does get up and down, Indiana's got the 5th best transition defense point per possession. KU's outside the top 100. So, outside of just getting kind of overwhelmed at Fog Allen early and getting kind of boat raced, which I don't think is going to happen given, they did it to Missouri, but I think that Missouri team is so fraudulent. So I'm not really getting overblown by that. I think this stays close. I think it's got a pretty good chance to get up and down. Took a small piece of the over.
Yeah, I took some IU plus 6.5. I think they can stay in this game. I think TJD is going to have a monster game. Gavin, if you had to choose one, do you think TJD or Jalen Wilson here? I know it's tough.
Like, I would say Wilson has a better floor, just given his inherent shot volume and what he means to that team, being really the only main dude. I don't like Grady Dick is good, but you put an ounce of athleticism and length on him at the wing and he gets shut down pretty quick. So, but I think TJD is the higher ceiling. I'm probably Jalen Wilson for me at home, which is kind of how I fell on, TJD being more of a GPP play, but I think it's a great spot for him as well.
Yeah, I think TJD is an awesome play if you can stomach some cheap value, which, we're going to try to find here, but there isn't a ton on the slate. I think guys that are awesome in play, like the Tamar Bates, the Trey Galloways of the world on this slate. Let's go to the next game here. Wake at Rutgers. Gavin, we were talking about this game yesterday. The big news, Tyree Appleby's questionable. Massive news. I'm glad that we get it early in the slate, right? Ken Palm's got it. Wake 85, Rutgers 32. He has it Rutgers 71-61. Seems like a bit heavy there. What do you think?
Yeah, Ken Palm wouldn't be accounting for like Tyree Appleby to be out. And he still has that as a 10-point spread. Like that just felt like a ton. Rutgers isn't usually the team that you want to be backing as a favorite of double digits. But the on-offs with and without Appleby are pretty stark. And he's kind of been, the main engine that's been driving that team. And he also had Monsanto, sit out the last game too. It sounds like him and Forbes are just, going at it. So he took a seat. I imagine he comes back, but you're going to have to be ready for a couple different things. You could see neither play. You could see both play. You could see one or the other play.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting game. Kurt, we've got Wake going to the rack without maybe their best player. Any DFS thoughts here? We got Cliff at 7.5. He's had some big-ass games. They've got Mulcahy and Caleb both back, so it's a little more balanced than it was early in the season. Is there anything you like here in DFS, Kurt?
Yeah, I love Big Cliff. I mean, I just like the projection. I like the price. It just that mid-tier range. I think the mid-tier build is going to be kind of like appealing to a lot of people, and I don't mind Cliff for that build, and even sliding him in with some of the studs too. I like it. He feels like a really safe option to like just get a double here, especially with how they're probably just going to roll. As far as Wake, I know like it's tough to play like at the rack, but I mean we had no value. So like if you took a start, so I mean we got it. I think both of them will be out. If Mondstadt even plays, like the guy's just a spot up shooter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you got to 3,200 on a slate like this. I feel like it's damn near a lock, and I'm probably gonna be overweight on Hildreth too, just because that mid tier spend, like the bill's gonna be nice. Another value, like just complete dart, is Marsh or Clinton. If both those guys are out, I mean, their forwards shouldn't affect their minutes that much, but can make a little bit secure. And Clemens had some big games in the past, and like I said, value's tough, so I don't mind taking a stab on him in GPPs. No, I'm not really going to the Rutgers guards. I don't know. I just don't want to like messing with them too much, but they should get going here. It's at home. You never know.
Well, we'll go to Matt there. The projections on the Rutgers guards, it seems to me just from a surface look that they're kind of priced correctly. Does anything stand out projection-wise on this game?
Yeah, definitely not the guards. But to Kurt's point, Cliff stands out a lot. And I have a question for you guys, especially maybe Gavin here. You can dive into the specifics matchup-wise. Why doesn't Cliff play more minutes? Like in close games like their most recent one, why is he
fouls way too much?
Last game was
fouled
fine.
Early and often, man.
I've played him like 4 times in the last 2 weeks,
week?
and he's fouled every game. It's insane.
Does it match? What about matchup based? I'm sorry, Matt.
Last game, was it foul trouble early? Because he didn't have a lot of foul trouble throughout the game.
The last time
still
he
played 26
he fouled
minutes
early. I'm not sure if that was their last game.
Because they're still playing Mawat Mag way too much.
Yes.
Andre Hyatt way too much. I like the upside with Cliff, but it seems very fragile. And it's not like he's cheap. To kind of sum it all up with this team, he's the only player I'm getting right now. But on the back end, I use an optimizer to build my lineups. He's a player I want to get some of, but the approach for me early has been I want to limit him. I don't want my slate to ride or die on him getting 2 fouls in the first minute and then just being stone dead the rest of the way, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay, Gav, what do we do if Appleby's out? Is there anyone that we can look to for cheap? Can we play a Ncaa, or what do you think?
Oh, man, I think like only in GPP, and you probably only need max 8 to 10% of them to be way over the field. We just haven't seen it from him. At this level, he did it at Marist, but going into the rack is a much different animal. People are going to play Hildreth and people are going to play Cliff. The Hildreth thing, he's nationally ranked in, it's like assist rate, defensive rebounding rate, free throw rate, kind of does it all for him. And so you think that the production goes up even from kind of the mid-20s that he's been posting. But again, going into the rack, there's a pretty low floor with that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Wake doesn't even get to 50 in this game.
Wake could score like 53 points. And you're just
I might even take their team total under if Appleby's ruled out, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's the play. I think if Apple's out, you take the under, like 62 or something, because they're just going to have trouble scoring. All right, let's move on.
Can I ask you a question about like who for Wake is going to draw fouls on Cliff? And has it mattered this year about like?
That's a good point.
Look at the games
there.
Like the last 4 games, he's played like people who can definitely make him foul.
I don't think anyone inside on Wake is terrifying for Cliff.
No, definitely not. But like Marshall put him in. Marshall's a big ass boy. Like, he's a pretty big dude. And Cliff will just find a way to foul. He kind of has that Oscar bug a little bit, dude. Like,
he'll like plow someone over randomly. Yeah,
so dumb. Or just refuse to move his feet and just swipe at a guy going right by him. Like, dude, what are you doing? And 2 fouls. Okay, got to take a seat for a bit. Usually he'll play through 2 fouls a little bit. With Steve Peichel, but that's definitely been hurting his minute upside over the last couple games.
Yeah. All right, we have to keep moving here. We got Mizzou, UCF. Ken Palm's got it 73-71 UCF, but I don't think there's that many plays in this game. We'll go to you first, Matt. Mizzou plays this monster rotation. Does anything stand out to you here?
No, but a big question on the other side is Darius Johnson. He comes up everywhere.
He's been awesome.
Yeah, he looks like he's severely underpriced at 5,800.
Yeah.
The game environment, I think, raises some concerns overall. Mizzou looks pretty damn good on defense just across the board. It looks like they've been pretty suffocating. Again, I'm not as in-depth with the ins and outs as you and Gavin and Kurt, but just from looking at the metrics on the back end for me, very, very good defense. Are you guys concerned with that with Johnson? It looks like he's going to be really owned. And that might also be a product of we don't have a lot of stone value, so it's kind of funneling you to these mid 5K plays. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, he was huge chalk on the last slate at 4-2. So maybe people see the $1,600 increase and don't play him. But I mean, his role is that of like a 6,500 guy, right? Gavin, what do you think there? And then anything else on this game?
Yeah, I'm fine with Johnson. I don't know. He's not the stone lock in GPPs that he was, at 4-2, but like the lowest possession game Mizzou has played all year was 145 possessions. Like this team is getting up and down, but it's also the fastest team that Dennis Gates has had. His first 3 years at Cleveland State, they were 241st, 279th, and 127th in tempo. And they're like, I think, top 10 in average possession length this year. We might see 15 guys playing this game, dude. Like, or 20 guys playing this game. It's just two massive rotations. I bet the under, partly because I think Mizzou has to slow down. They just got their teeth kicked in by a rival when they had a 27.5 turnover rate after their previous season high was 21. Like, their defense has also been torched the last 3 games, like 60+% effective field goal percentage for Wichita State, Southeast Missouri State, and then Kansas. Like, I think they slow down a little bit. The other thing is in this game, the last 3 times people have played in this arena for the Orange Bowl Classic, totals were 121, 126, and 127. 2 of those 3 were with Mike White, mega slow Florida teams, but I think it also speaks to the fact this isn't the greatest venue for high scoring affairs. So I'm a little bit down on the game environment, but I think there's some spots you can get to in this game.
Yeah, I think you can get to Johnson. Kurt, do you like anyone else in this game? Mizzou's just playing so many goddamn guys that I think it's tough to get to them at their prices. What do you think?
I'm going to take a shot on Hodge and some GPPs, but that's about it. Just because of the shot rate. I'm a sucker for the shot rate on him and Johnson. But it's just those 2 for me. And like I mentioned before, like these cheap forwards, you have none. Michael Durr is so annoying. But if you fall on needing some like sub 5.5 forward, his big goofy ass is there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I'm going yet for value on the slate. Hopefully, Matt can help us out as we keep going on. Let's go to Providence Seton Hall. Gavin, I'll go to you first. KenPom's got this 71-67. I think that seems a bit heavy there. Like, this is going to be a rock fight. What do you think?
Yeah, it's both teams' first conference game. I tend to agree because I just don't think Seton Hall can score for shit. That offense is woeful, dude. Like 338th in turnover percentage. They're outside the top 200 in 3-point percentage, 2-point percentage, and free throw percentage. But you got a massive strength of schedule discrepancy here too. Seton Hall, 56 hardest non-con schedule. Providence, 345th. Now going into Seton Hall, but Seton Hall off, that Rutgers game a couple nights ago. Providence's path right here is through offensive rebounding. Seton Hall trying to push the pace with Shaheen Holloway. They're definitely susceptible, to that. And Providence is top 5 in the country in offensive rebound rate. So probably just a close game. I think heads under the total. Not the prettiest environment with 2 kind of grinded out defensive teams.
Yeah, I agree with that. Matt, is there anything that stands out projection-wise in this game? At first look, I didn't see anything that I loved. I will say, like, Jared Bynum's been really bad to start the year, but at some point he's going to get going. I'm just not sure if it's going to be at Seton Hall where that happens.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest questions for me on the entire slate. We've talked as the show has gone on about a main theme here, lack of value. If you were just to run projections blindly, you're going to get a lot of Noah Locke. He's a starter. He's at 4,300. They've been in 2 blowouts. What are his minutes going to be like here? What would you guys project his minutes at? Because I think this is very fragile just with the schedule they've played. So in a competitive game, say this plays exactly to the spread, it's -2.5 around there, 136 total. How many minutes are you projecting for Locke? Because I think this could either be a stellar fade or he maybe is the guy you want to play as value. So where are you guys kind of at on him?
I mean, he's 4.3K. He probably gets 25 minutes, I would think. But it's Noah Locke, right? Like, he's going to shoot his threes. Gavin would know better than me for sure. But, like, he is a guy that if he's going to be popular, I think he's a good fade. But we just don't have that much value on the slate.
Hey, Seton Hall gives up them threes, boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be chucking. What do you think about that, Gavin? 4.3K, Noah Locke. Providence
I don't think Jaden Pierce any different of a play. I think Pierre even has a little bit more upside with the peripherals, but I thought about that. I was like, Locke, oh God. I think he's just not going to do anything peripheral wise. And, on the road against Seton Hall.
It's a tough spot,
Yeah.
He's going to be played. People are going to play him.
Well,
Pierre might be an elite pivot. I like that call, Gavin, a lot.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to a better game. I will be so I'm here in New Orleans, the DraftKings final. I will be trying to get this game on TV. We'll see if we can get an extra one, beside the NFL game. Bama, Gonzaga. This game's being played in Birmingham, Gavin. So it's quote unquote neutral, but this will be obviously a heavy Bama crowd there. Ken Palm's got Bama at 10, Gonzaga at 12. He's got it Bama 79-78. This is going to be a burner game, Gavin. Give us your overall thoughts. I think we have a bet on this game, and just, man, Bama's been rolling. This is it's an interesting spot for them. Let's say that.
Yeah, they actually lost to Davidson in this same building last year, which correlated. Does that have any correlation this year? Probably not, but their third huge get-up game in a row. Like I said earlier, when Zag, is off a 5-day, rest plus blowout. So they should be, legs fully under him. Like this Bama team, the thing that's different is like the defense is kind of back. They don't have quite the want-to that the Herb Jones team had, but they just have so much positional length. Like when you can roll out a Bediako, Clowney, Brandon Miller lineup, it just poses a lot of issues. And, the way you beat Gonzaga, Bama did it last year. You just out-Gonzaga'd them. Shackelford and J.D. Davison didn't miss a three, but what are their legs going to be like in this spot playing two mega physical games against Houston and Memphis? So I leaned to Gonzaga, but I thought that we would get a much better number. I thought people would just pile in on Bama, but it's like Evan Mia has Gonzaga at like -8. Shot quality has Gonzaga -7, and Ken Palm has a -1. So it's like that's I think what's holding back the Bama money, but definitely lean Gonzaga in the spot.
Yeah, I got Gonzaga +2. I kind of like that number. I think if Bama, I don't know, like the last 2 weeks, I think this is a different Bama team. I don't think that they're going to be great in these run and gun games. I think Gonzaga can play really well here, especially if Strother plays well. Let's go to you, Kurt. Do you like any plays from this game? It's going to be super high scoring. Pricing is probably correct on most guys. We saw Jaden Bradley enter the starting five. I think we can play him. Any thoughts on the plays here?
We talked about it before the show, but man, they priced Gonzaga very tough. And I think it's just really Timmy for me. If I'm doing like 1 to 3 entries, I don't think you need to spend up and chase these other Gonzaga guys if you're only running 3 lineups. For Bama, I have way more interest in Bama, to be honest. Like I like Sears' price. I think that's price just about right. Miller, I'll take a stab on. I also really like Bradley. I like the assist rate. I like the floor 5.2. You can kind of avoid having to do one of those like cheap 5K forwards, hopefully, by doing that. Bediako and Clowney, they're going to need someone inside to stop Timmy. Just hope they don't foul too much. Maybe they can get you there. I actually love Clowney's projection as well, too. But Bediako would be like a cheap or like a deep GPP dart. And we talked about what if it's the Quinterly game? You saw it to me, and I was like, damn, what if it is? I can't miss out on that shit. So it's a fun storyline, too.
It's always about to be the Quinterly game, right?
Right until he turns it over 3 times and goes 1 of 5 from the 3-point line, and Nados yanks him for another 2 weeks.
Oh. Yeah, I know. Matt, this seems to me like a tough game to project outside of the studs, especially with like the Bama guards. Like I said, we saw Bradley start, the freshman who's been good. I kind of like him here if he starts again. What do the projections say here?
You get a lot of Bama, but you don't get any Gonzaga. It's a price thing. It's same thing with like the Jalen Wilson, Trace Jackson Davis conversation. Like if you're playing a 10K guy, you're playing somebody who has a very insecure role on the slate, which could win because, we're talking about potential Noah Locke chalk, which isn't exactly secure in itself. But on the Bama side, you're kind of getting a little spray and pray from all these guys. You have the stud Brandon Miller. He's not priced up. near like the Drew Timmies of the slate. So I got a fair amount of him. As you guys probably know, you're going to get like Baycott's, Brandon Miller's just as a function of the slate over some of these guys. But you guys mentioned a lot of the ancillary plays. They pop up, not in a ton of optimals, but like Quinterly at 5K, that's not all that different than Locke at 4.3. And I think that could be a way to be different, just rather than go all the way down for like the Noah locks. If you run this sort of balanced build with players like Quinterly comes up, some Clowney came up, Mark Sears is at a different price point, but there's a fair amount of him. It's actually a lot of these Bama guys, but at the end of the day, I think it's a function of the total just being so high.
Yeah, Gavin, you talked about the game, but what about DFS plays? I'm thinking about playing Bradley or a Quinterly here.
Oh, one last thing. Bradley projects really well. So he's another one of those guys like near Noah Locke that projects really well.
Who?
Bradley.
I love his floor.
Bradley does project well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who's clearly ascending, Gavin. Do you buy the role for Bradley? Do we trust him here?
Yeah, I think 5.2 is pretty fair for a game that if it was, if the total was 200, you wouldn't be that surprised. Like this game could just go completely nuts. But Majeski brought up an interesting point in terms of who the hell guards Brandon Miller. And he was thinking that you could see a little more Salas this game as one of the only options, because we saw Miller struggle when he got the leaky black shadow. Other than that, he's kind of ran rampant, pretty. And you obviously can't guard him with a big because he'll pick and roll as the ball handler, and so it causes problems. But I think you could see a little bit of Salas. I think he's an interesting GPP option.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Salas play 30 minutes in the last game. It was a blowout, but he seems to be a guy that they're trying to involve more, right? And
yeah, they need him bad. Like they're just not playing any perimeter defense. Receiver Bolton and Hickman are just not getting it done on that end, so they have to get him going.
Yeah, like Matt, Salas the same price as a Noah Locke. I think I might rather take a shot with Salas in this awesome game than bank on Noah Locke hitting like 4 threes. Any thoughts there before you move on?
For GPPs, you're going to probably do stuff like that. With Salas, it's a minute thing. Like he's going from 17 to 30. So if you believe in the role change, you think that's sticky. I mean, if he adjusts his minutes, he's obviously going to project a lot better. So it's one of the most fragile places in the slate, I think, but it has a big payoff if you get it right. Yeah,
I mean, this game, Gavin, did you have a look on the total? I kind of think, man, like the 79-78 on KenPom, I kind of think that's light. I think
so too. I think
this game could just go, like if you watched last night, we saw the Xavier Georgetown game just go ape. I think this is the game on the slate that could go to like 170.
Let me ask you, if you're stacking it, then what are you maxing out the pieces at? Like, where's the end point?
Oh, if I'm stacking this, I'm getting nasty. I'm thinking about like Darius Miles type plays, dude. If I'm stacking this game, I think everything is in balance.
Kurt's horny right now with the Darius Miles call.
You see my eyes? My old baby. I actually love the Salas call. Just putting him in. I mean, for a game stack too, but even for the Noah Locke pivot. But yeah,
like the cheap guys that are going to be chalked
about
today.
Miles, Gavin. Miles, yeah.
Well, he was coming off that foot injury to start the year. It was a pretty important piece for him last year as like a 3-and-D wing.
Yeah,
they have much more depth this year, which is kind of why, in addition to the injury, he hasn't fully carved out a role yet, but. I mean, I think there's some upside. I think the thing about Nate Oates, dude, is that lineup is going to be pretty volatile game to game. And if you're going to stack it, I'm going to lean into some of the lower plays and hope that they're the ones that get a minute uptick in the rotation.
Yeah. So Gav, a guy that we've played a couple times this year, I actually don't even have him on the playbook. Bediako, do you think he just gets run off the court in this game?
I put him on there late. Sorry.
Here's the thing is that last year, I mean, Oates just let Timmy get whatever he wanted. He was like 10 of 19 from the field, like took 19 shots when he had Holmgren next to him, when he had Nembhard on the team. Like he pretty much just he let Timmy do whatever and took away everybody else. I think they're going to do the same thing because Bediako's just positional one-on-one defense has gotten so much better this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Timmy in this case, I think is actually a really good floor for 10K. It's kind of similar to a Jalen Wilson. I don't know what type of ceiling he has because he's not the biggest rebounder or block guy, but I think there's a lot in play here.
Yeah, Matt. So talking spend ups, like Timmy versus Jalen Wilson versus TJD. Do you have any leans there overall for the slate? Do you just lean into the best total, or do you think that the guys in that first game just have such great usage that you would use one of them over Timmy?
Yeah, so they're all low owned. When you look at the upside, you like projection wise, it's like a 20-point difference in total with Timmy versus Wilson and TJD. So if they're all low owned, I'm just going to take the total, and I very much expect them to be all low owned. You can't get them, man. Like if you're jamming,
it's tough to get to these guys today for sure.
Yeah, like even one of them in your lineup, it looks like shit.
Yeah, that's why Gavin's talking about guys like Darius Miles, is because Gavin's going to shove these guys in,
and they're going to 50 bomb at no ownership. Like it's going to be glorious,
dude. You get a 20
Trace
spot.
Jackson Davis nuked a slate at no ownership.
If you get a 20 spot, like a 20 spot from one of these bums, and you're probably fine.
Hell,
Gavin will find one.
17. I'll be happy with 17.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean this game's great. I think it's the best game stack on the slate. It's not really like breaking news. But I think at the prices, I'm not sure that many people will play like 4+ pieces from it, because it's just kind of tough to do it. Any last thoughts on this game, Kurt? This is clearly the best one on the slate. We talked about Bradley. You said he likes Sears. We haven't talked about Clowney much. Why don't you talk about Clowney? He's been just fucking awesome the last couple weeks.
He hasn't projected
really ascending into his role. They basically can't take him off the court. He's been so good.
Yeah, so I think he's going to slide into that mid-tier build. I really like him a lot. I'm sure I'll get a lot of him. I mean, it's like 7K flat. Like he's going to fit that mid-tier build, like I've mentioned. All the guys I mentioned there, you can legit play them all in the same lineup. My question is, for a game stack only, this is a question to everyone. 1v1, Sally does not matter. Let's say I have 4K left on this game, last piece game stack. Gurley or Darius Miles?
That's a question for Gavin.
Where are we going?
Oh, holy mother of God.
It does not matter. I have 4K left.
He's going Gurley, by the way.
I was gonna say Noah Gurley. Like if I got the 4K, I'm gonna play him over Miles. But Miles gives me an extra 800. That who knows what I could upgrade with that.
Well, Matt would say that you have to jam those 14 minutes from Noah Gurley.
Really, I don't have a preference. Is that true? Is that what I would say?
Yeah, for sure. Going back to Clowney real quick before we move on, Matt. Do the projections like him? He's been really, really good. And the role seems to be increasing. It seems like a continue to buy type of guy instead of he's been running hot type of guy.
You get some of like the top 6 Bama guys in really. If you run like 150, you're getting combinations of all of them. Clowney's fine. I think he's a little like for one lineup builders, or if you're playing cash or something like that. I think you're probably just trying to find the salary to get up to Brandon Miller at that point. But if you're running multiple, you're definitely including Clowney.
Yeah, I mean, Miller, I think, comes in the low owned tier, Gavin. We've seen him have just mondo games. Last thoughts on this game here and Brandon Miller in particular.
Yeah, it's, like if you play 2 mid 8K center forwards like a Miller and a Baycott, what does that allow you to do versus if you leave out some of the 10K guys? I think it's a roster construction thing with him, but yeah, like he can surely nuke a slate, and they're going to have really no matchup answer, I think, for him, short of trying to plug Salas on him for stretches at a time to cool him down. Yeah, this is the beer in one hand, dick in the other type game. This is where it's at today.
Yes.
If you play Miller and Baycott together, your lineup looks like shit.
I can't wait. I'll be wealthy then.
I can't wait.
Like you're going to end up playing Joe at Tuca or Ahmad Bynum or
he's definitely playing those guys.
I mean, I am too, but I'm just saying it doesn't look good. But hey, would you rather run that construction or put Noah Locke in and then just be balanced?
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that love the balanced builds. We are not those people. So I'm sure we'll find some greasy asshole to play.
Hey, it was Kaufman Wren last week, and he just thumped.
Oh, We love that guy, Kurt. Trey Kaufman-Renn. What a call that was last Saturday.
God, we would have been so wealthy if not for Terry Shannon. I had to go to the hospital and get a rape kit after what he did to me.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was nice.
Submarine my lineups to the back of the field. Brutal.
Oh my God. Speaking of greasy games, let's go to Houston at UVA. I've been waiting for this spot the entire year, Gavin, to get Houston as a fucking underdog. I was at Happy Hour with Turtle last night, and we limit bet this one here. Houston plus a 0.5 point at Virginia. Not a great DFS game, but why don't you talk about the game overall? This is just going to be a complete rock fight, right? This is going to be, they're going to punch each other in the face. And I like Houston in those types of games. Go on with it.
Yes. I mean, dude, Houston off a loss is usually auto bet territory. And I got him as a pick. It was a no brainer. But yeah, this is going to be as ugly as an offensive game as you'll see all year. Throw in North Texas with these three teams or those two other teams, and it's kind of similar thing. But the way you got to beat Houston is the way that Bama did, using kind of quick skip passes to throw to the weak side and get that catch and shoot three. UVA's mover blocker offense isn't really set to do that. And the one guy that can kind of go get his own and maybe just out athlete some of the Houston guys at time, Reese Beekman, is questionable. It sounds like he hasn't practiced, or else they would have said, yeah, he's been practicing, I imagine. And UVA's got a pretty 45th highest off the dribble 3 rate. That don't bode well. That don't work against Houston. So, we'll see. This game could literally be 46-48, and I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, awesome real life game. I'm going to try to get it on here in NOLA. We'll see, what the powers that be say in the, at the watch party. Matt, as far as DFS, if we're going to see a 55-53 game, is there anyone viable here?
No, I'd exit out.
I don't know we need value, guys.
Nah,
what about Ryan?
No.
Kurt. What about Ryan Dunn if Beekman doesn't play?
Or McNeely, one of the two. If you're entering a lot of lineups and you need a 3K guy.
God, I knew that was coming.
How many lineups can you enter though? It's CBB. You can't
25, 30.
You're playing you're playing one of these guys in 25 lineups?
Matt, no, only the cheap dart. Give me 15.
Matt, if Beekman's 36 minutes are out, we're gonna get one of these cheap Virginia guards like a Ryan, like a Dunn. He's 3-4. The game is shit, but man, if Beekman sits, I might play Ryan Dunn. Gavin, what do you think? Do you think
this
that
game's at a weird time
enough to consider?
It's a late game though, so you got to consider swap equity stuff too. So I guess you could go to a mod Bynum for DePaul or something, but
yeah, Gavin,
it's late. 5 games are already locked by this point.
What's your gut on Beekman playing? I just have a feeling that he sits here. I think
he sits.
Yeah.
Tell him, Gav. Tell him you can throw a dart on some of these.
Dude, I'm not playing a 5'6" gringo against this Houston team. I don't care if he was 1.5K. It's just not happening.
1 point.
Yeah. This game blows. Let's. It's gonna be awesome real life game, but for DFS, let's move on. The Battle of Chicago. Damn, I'm not even there for this one. DePaul Northwestern. Gavin, we'll go to you first. Ken Palm's got it 69-62 Northwestern. At first look, I didn't love anyone at their price in this game. We saw Jalen Terry sit last game, and we got fucking whored by that freshman. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, when we play Umoja, he has his season worst game in Zion Cruz Flames. Then Jalen Terry sits when we were getting ready to play him, and Cruz plays and does nothing. This team's just a fucking disaster. Actually, both teams are a disaster. Yeah, this is one I didn't even bother doing notes for. With all these DePaul guys getting the massive pace down now on the road, I think still without Ongenda and Ncaa. So it's going to be it's going to be the Javon Johnson and Emoji Gibson show, but for their prices on the road in this game environment, I don't even know if I really want to have them in play in like a GPP setting.
Yeah, Matt, like it would be tough for me to click a Gibson or a Javon Johnson over like the guys in the Bama game. Any thoughts there?
100% agree. The only guy you get in lineups is Ahmad Bynum, and that's if you're Xing out like Locke and the weird Wake Forest mid-price guys. And I don't know, it seems like you're kind of getting the same thing, like low 20s in minutes, not great usage, but you're kind of playing the lotto on these value guys, hoping this is the one that gets 25 points. So there's not a lot to like here on the DePaul side, I think. Northwestern is a little more interesting. Boo Booey projects really well, of course, but
he always does. That guy sucks.
I think I'm going to go back to him. Nobody plays him.
Shot rate is so sexy, dude.
No, so like Kurt, right? So if Jalen Terry sits again, we're going to see Zion Cruz start, and we're going to see him split minutes with Bynum.
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in either of those guys? You know, like if you're playing a bunch of lineups, can you take a shot there? We saw Zion Cruz just fucking cuck us on Wednesday.
When we're sitting on Kovaci Reeves, like right before lock, I don't even want to talk about it, bro.
I might just shut down the stream, Gavin.
So
we don't have a 3-5 Kawasaki Reeves here. We don't really have that many options down low. I mean, you were talking about Darius Miles earlier. Here we have a guy who's going to start at 3.1, 3.3, something like that. Kurt, I'm going to let you go first. Zion Cruz, are you playing him?
I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to run my main team. I'm going to leave a spot open for a 3,500 guard. And I'm running my main team, not changing anything. I'm rotating all these under 3.5 guards. One of them is going to fucking get me there. I promise you. And if that build doesn't hit, so be it. But I'm going to run like my main team 7 or 8 times with all these different sub 3.5 guards. And if one doesn't get there, I'm offing myself.
I kind of like that.
I'm offing myself.
So I'm telling you, one of them's going to get there, and it'll let you get all these high-priced studs in college basketball who's not going to be owned. Like Gavin said, it's just the absolute nut. And I asked for 15 earlier, but man, I don't know if we can get like 13 or 14 from like the really cheap 3K guys. I think it would be enough if we get those 50 burgers. So that's what I'm doing. Back to that mid-tier build. Boo Boo is going to slide in there, like the projection build. No one else I'm really going to on that side, but that's just my main thought is just the cheap 3K guys. I also could see this being an Emoji Gibson troll slate. It shouldn't happen.
Don't even put that out there.
I know. I hate to say it, but
we had the total nuts on that slate, and that ass wipe gave us 8 fantasy points.
I faded him that night too, but I had some fuck up that kept me from like binking. I had a great night that night because I faded him though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gav. So thoughts on Boo Booey at 7.2 being popular, and then the cheap DePaul guys. Are you going to take a stab and go back if Terry's out?
Yeah, Boo Booey's fine. I'm probably not going to play him. Over 7K, he gets a little bit of the pace up. He's at home. Where you attack DePaul is, especially without these bigs on the inside, you got to attack the rim. It feels like that's a little bit more audacious to me. But yeah, they're both going to get, a fair amount of shots against a pretty shit can defense. But yeah, I think that's probably the only, I was hoping Robbie Barron was going to be like 1,000 less. I'd definitely play him at like a 6'3" in the spot, but
he's too expensive here. I think
he's too expensive right here. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the last game on the slate, boys. Really, really good one. I think they're playing it at the Garden, I believe. Ohio State, UNC. Gavin, I haven't checked this morning. I'm hoping to get UNC as like a pick or maybe a dog. I'm not sure if that's moved. We saw it open UNC -1.5. That was kind of surprising to me. Overall thoughts on the game. Ken Palm's got it State 76-75. What do you think?
Yeah, Ohio State off the 9 days of rest. That's a pretty long time. I wouldn't be surprised if they just come out a little bit slow. But it's like, yeah, this UNC team. I mean, the market has just poo-pooed them to death, over the last couple weeks. And they're starting to feel like they're undervalued. The market agreed. I think they're up to -2.5 now.
Brutal. Damn it.
But it's like, God, I needed a whole nother show on just what I truly think about Hubert Davis as a coach. But, the thing about Baycott, like he really hasn't been healthy much of the year. and now we get him at 8-4 in a pretty nut spot against little bowling ball Zed Key. So, I think if you're not in on this game already, I think the way to play it potentially is if one of those two bigs gets in early foul trouble, taking the other side. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Hubert Davis has to take the keys to the car away from Caleb Love before he drives it off the cliff.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that he's already done that, and he let him do it for 2 months last year before he kind of took him away. Kurt, thoughts on this game in general? This is going to be like an awesome hammer game here at the end of the slate. Thoughts on the game, and then does anyone stand out for you DFS wise?
As far as the game goes, I just want to talk about what Gavin just said, but like we did this last year with Caleb Love. What are we doing? We took the keys away and then we went on a fucking awesome run. Why are we going back to this again? It blows my mind that we're doing this again.
Hubert Davis is a terrible coach. Terrible.
So bad. Like I can't believe that. I thought it was just happened for the first couple games and it kept happening. I'm like, oh my God, this is like the Twilight Zone. Like it's happening again. So that's thoughts on the game. I hope that he takes him away sooner rather than later. Maybe it's this game. I don't really have interest in Caleb Love. I know what he can do on a slate as far as he can get extremely hot and melt it. But if he does, I'll just close the laptop on that. Baycott's going to be extremely popular. I mean, I like it too. There's no really – in those lineups where I'm doing the 3K guy, I probably will get no Baycott because I'm trying to get off that build, that really chalky build. But Baycott's a great play. As far – I mean, I don't really have interest in the guards. Like RJ Davis, like 21% shot rate. You got to love that. But I'd rather just play I'd honestly rather play Boo Booey, to be honest. I know it's gross to say, but
I've actually never said that in my life.
I know it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great.
Yeah, Matt. So, thoughts on Baycott here? Man, if he plays full minutes, he can just decimate the slate.
He looked healthy last night. Like he looked really healthy. I was over when he was 2%. I had him. He looked completely fine.
He looked awesome. We actually talked about it last Saturday, Gavin. I think it was you that brought it up. Like, hey, if you're down, just pivot to Mondo Baycott, and you put up like a 45 on us. Matt, so thoughts on Baycott, and then I think Ice Likely is still away from the team.
Yeah, he's out indefinitely.
Yeah, we saw Sensabaugh start for him. He is a awesome freshman. His price, I think, is way too low. Thoughts on Baycott, Sensabaugh, and just this game in general?
Yeah, Baycott's rock solid. He should be like 9.5, just a hair behind the elite studs in the slate. Just severely underpriced. The build kind of still is preventing you from going there a little bit. Again, it's very hard to play these studs together. You're playing some really gross guys. On the Ohio State side, this is going to be the most popular team on the entire slate. When you run projections across the industry, you aggregate them, doesn't matter. You're getting nearly 100% Sensabaugh, just under 90% Suing, and a ton of Zed Key. So you got to navigate this carefully, I think. These are going to be stone chalk guys. They're all underpriced, and only Zed Key's expensive. I think he's the easiest fade of the group.
Yeah.
A lot harder to fade Suing and Sensabaugh just on a slate strap for value. These are the mid-price glue guys that sort of allow your lineup to come together. But this is going to be
so you prefer Suing over Thornton then?
Yes. From a projection standpoint, like you guys have to go into the specifics on that. But
yeah, well, perfect time to throw it to Gavin here. Gav, thoughts on fading 7-7 Zed Key for 8-4 Baycott, and then Suing versus Thornton. I kind of trust Thornton more, man. Like I think he's pretty good. He's gonna have the ball in his hands the entire game against a defense that has no interest in guarding anyone.
Yeah, Sensabaugh could draw the leaky shadow too, which is something I worry about a little bit.
That's so true.
I mean, I'm playing Sensabaugh regardless.
6K,
I'm talking about the second Ohio State piece, like Suing versus Thornton.
Like the price uptick with Thornton kind of gives you a little bit of sticker shock, but like I don't really know what kind of ceiling he has at 6K. Like, can he get to 30? I guess he got to 25 against fucking Rutgers. And this is UNC, who's going to play way faster and play way less defense. So it's like,
I mean, he played 39 minutes last game, Kev.
I know he's going to play. Well, Ice was playing like the backup point guard role, and they look like one another. They play like one another. And without him, he's going to play every minute. So it's probably him over Suing for me. Just Suing hasn't just showed the game-to-game consistency. Like, he could easily be kind of point forward type, but I think they're just letting Thornton run with it, which I think kills a lot of his like assist upside, which is how he used to get there a lot of times, assists and threes.
Yeah. And then thoughts on 7-7 chalk Zed versus 8-4 unknown Baycott.
I'm not playing him unless I'm down early and just pivot down from Baycott to Zed. Go from there.
No, I think what Matt was saying is that Key is going to be more owned than Baycott.
That's insane.
I've got the rosary beads out. I'm already doing the Hail Marys, hoping that's the case.
Oh, God. I need it.
Matt, are Thornton and Sewing close enough that you think that would be a good pivot if one of the guys ends up way more owned than the other?
From a price adjusted perspective, Sean McNeil projects better.
Oh God! Don't end the show with the fucking Sean McNeil mention.
Actually, here comes the 6 3-point game from Sean McNeil.
He's played enough basketball where I know the context around Sean McNeil. You're praying your threes go in. So I know what it is with him. But I mean, if you're down, why Thornton's 6K, McNeil's 4.9. He's going to be direct leverage off the other shit plays in this range. And you're playing him because you're down. It's not because, all right, I'm looking for the safe play in Sean McNeil.
True.
I want to I feel like this is where you attack upside. So I think I would rather play him if you're in that situation where you're down and you need to just really take on some leverage in a risky situation.
Okay. All right, Kurt, we have a couple minutes left. I'll go to you first. Last thoughts on the slate, and if you want to give away a couple of your favorite plays, go for it.
Yeah, so I kind of already gave it away. Like what I'm doing, I'm running my main team. I'm going to slide in one of those cheap guards and hope one gets there for me. As far as plays go, come to me next. Let me find one. I'm going to find something not so chalky.
All right, we'll go to you, Matt. Favorite plays on the slate? Do you have any bets today? What are your thoughts overall? And thank you so much for joining us, by the way. I know we dragged you on here.
You're welcome, man. It's been fun. I was going to be watching anyway, so it made a lot of sense. Bets, I only bet Kentucky. Obviously not as deep in the streets as you are right now. I think my best advice is just navigate the chalk as carefully as you can. I think the main pieces are going to be the mid-price Ohio State guys, Darius Johnson, and probably some Zedkey, which is egregious. But there's plenty of pivots. I like stacking at least one of the expensive plays, so I'm kind of mixing and matching that. I'll run 20 lineups today, so it's Baycott, the Alabama studs, Brandon Miller, and then trying to mix and match the really elite guys. They're going to be virtually unowned. And if you pivot to the really cheap guys, your Ahmad Bynums, players in that range, McNeil, I think you can make it work.
Gavin, thoughts on the Ahmad Bynums in the world? Why don't you give out your bets for the day, a couple of them, and then overall thoughts on the slate and chalk 7.7K Zedkey that we're definitely not playing.
Which one of those 9 points you want me to address first, you mutt?
I was just giving you the floor, you know.
All right, so I'll pull the bets up in a second, but one guy that I really like in this context that I don't think is going to get played much, and I think is the only non-starter on the UNC team with some sticky role, and that's Seth Trimble for 4K.
Yeah,
I think he's all right. When you get down to favorite play, oh God, whatever. You know what my strategy is going to be. I'm going to jam some hairy shit, and it's going to get me the dudes. And when they 50 bomb at no ownership, I'm going to ship it. So that's
I'm right there with you. I am right there with you.
Just grab your balls and play these guys. They're not that bad of plays.
Yeah.
Salas is my favorite play of the slate.
I got. Wait.
Who?
Ooh.
Hunter Salas.
Who? Hunter Salas.
I'm going Mark Sears for mine.
All right. I mean that game's gonna be awesome. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna be at this DraftKings event. I'm gonna basically pay the guy to change the football game to the Gonzaga game for like 5 minutes so that everyone freaks out. Any last words here, Matt, for the slate?
Thank you guys for having me. Should be a fun slate. I like slates like this where it's not just chalk condensed around one value play. You can actually make intelligent pivots, and hopefully you're paid off for it.
Yeah, I think it's a cool slate. We've got awesome games all day, afternoon and night slate. If you're in the Discord, we'll have Coors there at Run Pure. Kurt will be in there. I will be in there. Gavin will not, but I'll be texting him all day, I'm sure, about the games. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk soon. We have to hop off because there's an NFL show starting in 2 minutes on the same channel.
There's NFL games today?
Yeah.
Right?
Imagine watching NFL today.
Such a great
I mean,
play.
I was trying to recruit people last night. I wasn't getting too many takers, but I think I won over some folks. All right, for Kurt, for Matt, for Gav, we'll see y'all next time.